Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan, and today, just got done reviewing some whiskeys. If you've been watching the videos in order, um, had an idea. So I think what I'm going to do today, I went out and the other night, bought a bottle of Ancient Age. I've been talking about it a little bit. If you go back and look at my videos back, one of the very first videos that I ever did, when I was looking at my whiskey under $10 review. Um, I went out and purchased this last night. I paid $9 and hold on just a second. $9.59. Now, when I originally purchased this at the beginning of this channel, whatever that was, 2020, February of 2020, I paid $9.09. So the price has gone up by 50 cents. So it's still relatively cheap. We're going to put it against the Buffalo Trace and then the Bowman Brothers. Now, both of these are 90 proof. And this Ancient Age is only 80 proof. I have not seen anywhere local or in the state of Wyoming or in Billings or, not that I can recall, in South Dakota, the Ancient Age, which is a 90 proof Ancient Age. I think it might have a little bit more age on it, but I don't know. But it is a 90 proof and it's still pretty cheap. I want to say it should run somewhere between the $10 and $15 mark. So if I find one of those, you'll see yet another review of all three of these head to head to see what happens there. But we're going to put these three against each other and see what we get. So D is the Bowman Brothers here. We're going to put that right there. Now, I really liked this Bowman Brothers small batch. I do have sitting in a shopping cart right now online. I haven't purchased it yet because I haven't talked to the wife, but it is Friday night, so maybe I could talk her into it. I have one of the port finished Bowman Brothers. I'd be curious to see how that goes. So glass C is the Buffalo Trace, and now glass B is the Ancient Age. And I think they're all fairly close in color, although this Ancient Age is indeed light, but so is this Bowman Brothers. Like I said, it's 80 proof. I don't believe there's an age statement anywhere on here. So yeah, there we go. Now we are going to mix these up somewhat. And like I said, I don't keep track of what's what. I don't care at all who's what. Really, when I do these, all I'm trying to do is just do a head-to-head comparison of what's what, and we're seeing who comes out on top. I don't really care at all. It's all flavor driven for me. We're going to go from my left to my right, stop, drink some water, and then go from my right to left. Now, I am going to say, looking at these, there is a significant color difference here, but we won't worry about that too much. And once again, the Buffalo Trace descriptor is not going to work for this, but it is floral, mostly floral, a little bit of like apple or cherry blossom. I can get some ripe apple with a little bit of caramel in there, a little bit of vanilla. Mostly moving into a caramel and a apple and a floral. That's the majority of what I got. Fairly simple on the palate, very light, sweet. I would say, again, the density of flavor is pretty low. It was a low, kind of thin, sweet vanilla, honey, caramel. Not a really dense, rich, or very strong flavor. It was kind of a watery, thin profile. But it was a bunch of sweet notes, and then it moved into that apple just slightly. Had a graham cracker finish, and now I'm kind of getting just a slight bitter tannic and a little bit of ethanol heat I guess you could call it a black pepper on the back end with that. So fairly thin profile. It's okay. I mean, it's a good drinker, but it's nothing crazy. And again, these are all fairly low proof, so I don't know exactly what kind of craziness one would expect, but we'll see. The right nostril, getting a dense brown sugar, almost pushing into a molasses, kind of a marshmallowy caramel. Top of the glass, not getting a lot of sweeter notes, but kind of indiscriminate sweet notes. But I would say this is less floral on the nose. This is more sweet caramel. Nothing dense and rich, but just a nice light, sweet, rich, sweet honey caramel. Something in that light, sweet note. See how it goes. Flavor profile again, fairly thin. Thin forward, but nice sweet honey caramel in the middle. Touch of vanilla, just barely. A little bit of oak tannin on the back end of it, but in a very pleasant way. Followed by a graham cracker and a black pepper spice with a little bit of ethanol. I think I actually like this more than that. Both of them are watery thin on the palate, but I like there was like a soft creaminess of this versus this one where it was just like watery thin and it was just like these little flicker of sweet notes. This one had a creaminess that kind of enveloped the tongue a little bit. So do kind of like that one. Okay. That was not at all what I was expecting. There's like a watermelon rind, like the white watermelon rind smell. Like a green, grassy, sour note in there. Okay, so just guessing. I think this is Ancient Age. I think this is Bowman Brothers, and I think this is Buffalo Trace. That is interesting. I do not remember that at all coming from Ancient Age, and I could be wrong. This might not be. When I take a sip, I'll keep my hand off to the side like this, and you can see if this is B, this is Ancient Age. But yeah, there's this weird watermelon rind note in there, and then that's like the most forward thing, and then behind it there's a little sweetness. Like I don't know. It's kind of edging on that caramel honey note. It's starting to push more into that, and that watermelon's going away. But at first nose, and granted, I just cracked this open and opened it. So and again, a guy that believes in the neck pour. Now that watermelon note is gone, it's moving into caramel. A little bit of a honeysuckle, like a wet honeysuckle after a spring rain, and more of a graham cracker sweetness in there. A honey graham cracker. All right, let's give it a taste. Okay, so I'm pretty convinced this is Ancient Age. Very watery thin forward. I mean, there's like a whole lot of nothing, but it has a super creamy mouthfeel that just kind of coats the tongue. So, like, the sip that I took filled my mouth, like, it felt more full than it actually was. Just kind of oily, clingy. There wasn't a whole lot of flavor there until about 2 or 3 beats in. Then you pick up a nice sweet caramel, throw some peanut shell, peanut shell. Like it tasted like when you crack open whole peanuts that have been roasted and salted. That smell is the flavor that I got. Mixed with like a honey, a little bit of caramel, and then a little bit of a floral note on the back end. And then, oddly enough, a little bit of oak, like actual oak, not tannin or bitter or anything like that, but like the smell of fresh cut white oak, that flavor, not the sourness of it, but just the density of wood. A little bit of that coming through on the back end of it. Um, it's interesting. I don't really know how to rank these because these two definitely had a much dense more sorry not much but these two have twice the density of flavor that this one has. All three of them were really watery thin. um as far as the drinking experience goes, I don't know, I'm tossed between this one and this one. As far as, I'd say this is still the standout number one, and it's a toss up between these two. This one has more flavor, more density of flavor, although still really, really thin and kind of a nothing burger. This one has just kind of a nothing burger all around, but none of them are terrible. There's my rinse. We'll give it just a second and we'll come back into it and figure out which is which. I think I'm going to keep this as 1, 2, 3. And again, these two, it's hard to weight them against each other because neither of them have a significant characteristic that is overwhelming any other aspect of the profile, right? So this was a lot more watery thin, but more creamy mouthfeel. This one had a little bit drier mouthfeel. Again, that was the first whiskey of the day, and also, it's hard to say. It'll be interesting going back through to see what comes out. But I think we're gonna keep this in third place just because there wasn't as much going on. So going back to the nose now. Oh, watermelon rind is back. Like watermelon rind, wet honeysuckle, and along with the watermelon rind is like spot on exactly what I'm smelling, along with like the sweetness of the melon and the sourness of the rind. It's very interesting. I don't know if I've ever smelled that or not. You'd have to go through all my videos to see if I've ever used that as a descriptor, but that's exactly what it is. Out of the left nose and nostril, I'm getting peanut dust and a sweet caramel. Once again, watermelon rinds disappeared. Now it's starting to get a sweet, syrupy density sweetness in the back. Interesting. Okay, going in again. Watery thin, watery thin, watery thin. Some kind of a sweetness, almost a marshmallowy sweetness, some peanut, and then graham cracker on the finish, like a really heavy honey graham cracker, with a little bit of a sour bite to it, a little bit of oak in there. We're gonna leave that in third place right now. Going back into middle. Oh man, the dense, rich, sweet, fresh baked caramel cookies. So instead of like chocolate chip cookies, like homemade caramel chunks in a cookie where you break it open, it's warm and just like the caramel just drips. A little bit of a floral component to it, and like a sweet cotton candy almost. That was a very like a Granny Smith or a Honey Crisp, kind of a slightly sour apple with caramel, like a caramel apple. Oh man, I mean this is just heaven in a glass on the nose right now. Yeah, just sweet notes really just pouring out of this glass. On the taste, super simple, watery thin. Sweet notes pick up after a little bit. Getting a little bit of a sour, a little bit of a little bit of oak and black pepper on the finish. I want to keep that number one for the moment. We'll see what this one does. Okay, this is a caramel bomb. Uh-oh, furnace just clicked on. Well, hopefully this doesn't destroy the video here. In fact, I think I'm going to go cut that out quick. Things shifted slightly, but we're back here. Quick turned off the furnace here. Chocolate covered cherry, or sorry, scratch that. Caramel covered cherry. A little bit of a sour note in the background. Graham cracker. Not as sweet on the nose. It was a caramel bomb when I first stuck my nose in it, but kind of fading into more of exactly what I picture Buffalo Trace nose profile to be. Like when I say that, it's very Buffalo Trace-esque. This is what I smell. Just that sweet caramel, honey, floral. There's a little bit of apple in there. Almost a caramel apple. Going on the taste. Again, watery thin. A little more tannic start to finish. There's like this bitter astringency start to finish. Seems like it might have a little bit more age on it. I don't even know how to rank these. So now going through this way, this one has a little bit more complexity than this, but I don't really like that astringent bitter note that's coming through it, and that picked up fairly early on in the flavor profile. Again, so this is personal preference. Seemingly how I'm not a fan of that. I'm going to keep that at number 2. Still going to keep this as number 1. Now this kind of has a sweet melon nose going back. Now I'm just doing this because I wanted to grab it, but that's more sweet and pleasant to drink. Doesn't have the tannic notes that this one has. Yeah, that time it was like peanut butter and watermelon. That watermelon rind. It's like those two things, man. That's interesting. I do not remember that at all from the first time I tried Ancient Age. Ooh. And the first beat, that's what I got too, was like overripe watermelon and watermelon rind. And then it went sweet. Golly, Ned, I do not. That might have been $10 not worth it. That is amazing to see how that changes because I do not remember any of that as being I don't remember. I think if you watch my whiskey under $10 reviews, I think at least out of the 3 that I drank in succession, Ancient Age was my favorite. I remember it being sweet and caramely and just really nice. It is quite possible that, during COVID and all the other junk that for some reason it did not like they pulled different stocks and other things. I don't know. I just don't remember it having that sour note to it, but we're going to keep with that. So coming in third place, B, Ancient Age. Just like I thought. So if I have to guess, it's B, D, C. I think number 1, yep, D, Bowman Brothers. And then that makes Buffalo Trace our last one here. So Bowman Brothers once again wins out, then Buffalo Trace, and then Ancient Age. I will be curious when I come back to Ancient Age at a later point in time. It seems like a lot of whiskeys that I open up, try, and whatever, that first initial sip, and this is why I believe in that neck pour, it might be completely psychological or dependent on time and what I had to eat and whatever else. But so often I have open bottles. Me and my wife will get like 6 or 8 bottles when we go out somewhere, pick them up, come home, and of course I can't wait. So I'm sitting there trying, bottle after bottle after bottle, just a little bit, like a small pour, like probably what's in here, like that much out of each bottle. And oftentimes I'll go and buy something, and I'm like, and then, or so I'll buy it, be all excited, come home, pour it, and I'll try it, and I'll be like, boy, I think we might have just got taken. Bring it down here, let it sit for a while, and then come to do the review at a later point in time, and I'll make some comment about, we tried it, we thought this, I remember this note and that note and whatever else. Pour, and then do my review of it, and the review is completely different than what I experienced, which is good because oftentimes when I'm doing the review, the flavors and the nose and everything about that whiskey is much more positive than what it was with that initial crack of the bottle. And again, I don't know how or why, because like physics would dictate that the neck pour is not a real thing, along with like if you go and look at I think it was on the Whiskey Tribe, Rex and Daniel did a thing to test the neck pour theory, and I don't know. There definitely seems to be something. I'm a believer in it. I don't know why. If nothing else, if it's just the settling of like syrupy flavors or compounds or oily things at the top of the neck. I don't know. Maybe I should take and really just agitate and shake something up quite a bit before opening it. I don't know. I don't know why, but for some reason there definitely seems to be a neck pour in my opinion. So there's my review. Once again, Bowman Brothers small batch is winning out. You should be able to pick this up for something in the $30 to $40 range if you can get in your area. I would say this is a much better bottle than the Buffalo Trace, just standard Buffalo Trace, which I can get locally for $19.99. I know people are paying $40 and up for this bottle. Not worth it in my opinion at all. And then the Ancient Age, at $9.59, according to this review, was not worth it. But again, we'll revisit that at a later point in time and see if I come away with a little different opinion on it. Anyways, drop in the comments down below what you think of this lineup. Which ones you think might be in your wheelhouse as far as what you like, or how wrong I might be on some of this. If you have any of these bottles, I highly encourage you to do these blind taste tests. You'd be amazed at the differences of what you think you might experience as to what you actually experience will be. Even if you're going to do two bottles, next I'm going to put the small batch that I just reviewed, the Four Roses Small Batch Select, against the winner from the original small batch series. I'm not going to go through and drink, four whiskeys again. I'm just going to put it against the single barrel, which is what won the lineup out of the single barrel, the small batch, and the regular yellow label. We're going to put those two head to head in the next video. So stay tuned for that, but let me know what you think of this. I'm open to any comments you have, if I'm right, wrong, or indifferent. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it. Again, all this whiskey is coming out of my own pocket. I got over $10,000 invested in whiskey at this point. My wife and I have a collection of over 250 bottles. And you know what? It's a very fun and enjoyable hobby. And I highly encourage you, if you are a whiskey fan, really get into it, kind of nerd out on it. There's a lot of intricacies and interesting things to check out. And hopefully doing these different distillery reviews and lineups comparisons are something that are valuable to you. And hopefully we're helping you spend your money more wisely. So there you go. If you're watching this on YouTube, good luck. Please check us out on BitChute. That's where most of my reviews are, and where I put out stuff on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. We'll catch you in the next video.